Islam, 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 and welcome to Sisters Standing on Law. This is your host, Anita L., along with my co-host, Mariah Bay.
Islam, peace and love to all.
Peace and love. All right. I trust everyone has done their 8-minute workout and is ready to get started. This is part 3 in the analysis of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, if you don't know. And we have a lot of things to cover. We might not cover it all in this broadcast. So if we don't, there will be a part 4. And I think there might be a part 4 anyways, because even though the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is not very big, I mean, you know, in terms of it's not a lengthy document, is chock full of information regarding the treatment and intercourse between the Moors and the modern Europeans. And so we really have to really take a look at that, not just in terms of, you know, questions, answers, and definitions, but also in terms of what it all means. You know, we have to. I'm feeling we have to have another plan. Yeah, on like the comprehension and wow, what does it mean? Because it is so all encompassing that, you know, we just have to have that part 3. So we're going to go through let's see, Articles 12 through 25, and then what we're going to do is we're going to read the definitions, and there aren't that many definitions. I wasn't intending to have 21 questions, but it kind of just blossomed out that way. So, but the questions, I mean, it was like every time I read something, I was like, oh, that's a good question. Oh, that's a good question for comprehension. And I could have put some more in there. But I said, okay, I got 21. I was going for 9, then I was going for 12, and okay, I got to stop at 21. So that's why we have 21. There could have been more. And really, you know, for those at home who may either be studying by yourself or you may be in a group of people, it might be a good exercise to go and make up some additional questions based on the articles, because there's so many more questions that can be asked with this impacting treaty. So what I'm going to do is, once again, this is the treaty between the United States of America and Morocco.
Say that again? This is the United States of America?
Exactly. This is a treaty of peace and friendship between the United States of America and Morocco. Now, the reason this treaty had to be entered into is because the previous treaty was between Great Britain and Morocco. There was no treaty between the United States of America because it didn't exist. All right, it was formed in 1877 through the treaty, the Articles the Articles of Confederation. Officially, that's when the United States of America officially began, and then the Treaty of Peace and Friendship in 1787 gave them the protection they needed to engage in commerce, and then the American Constitution, 1791, brought them into government proper. So this is what we need to be clear on. We need to be absolutely clear on who is who and what is what, because so many times we have conversations and just listen to some of the things that Moors across the nation are saying, and they're demonstrating in their speech that they really don't know who is who and what is what. And because of just that little lacking of information, they will make they will make statements that put them in the wrong jurisdiction. All right.
Islam, say that again. This happens all the time. Yeah.
Yes. So this is why the prophet says, study, study, study. And, when I was reading through the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, it was like I heard the prophet in my ear saying, this is why I tell you to study, study, study. Look at this. This is why I'm telling you to study, study, study. And it's so absolutely correct. I mean, you will never comprehend the magnitude of what our ancestors did for us if you do not diligently study these historical documents and exactly what they put together for our protection and for their posterity, which is us today. It's just really amazing. So we gotta study. Really, it's like an insult if you don't study and know what your ancestors put together for you. So
I think before you started, I just wanted to make a comment. You just said what our ancestors put together for us, and I think something hit me. It's like what happens is a lot of us today are more concerned and review and look at what these modern Europeans out of the United States of America are doing, rather than what you just said, looking at what was done for us by our ancestors. I think that's where it lies at. They're more concerned about they said this, and they're doing that, and so on, without really looking at what you just said. Look at what our ancestors did for us. It's all encompassing.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Absolutely. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to read through Articles 13 through 25. Let me just make sure it's 20. I believe it is 25, and it is. And then we're going to get into the definitions and then jump right into the questions. If we don't finish the questions with this broadcast, we will be finishing them with next month's broadcast with a discussion, or I should say with an ear to a discussion. So we have Article 13, which reads, if a ship of war of either party shall put into a port of the other and salute, it shall be returned from the fort with an equal number of guns, not with more or less. Article 14, the commerce with the United States shall be on the same footing as is the commerce with Spain, or as that with the most favored nation for the time being, and their citizens shall be respected and esteemed and have full liberty to pass and repass our country and seaports whenever they please without interruption. I just want everybody to pay close attention to that article right there. And if you have a printed copy of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, you need to underline, and their citizens shall be respected and esteemed and have full liberty to pass and repass our country and seaports whenever they please without interruption. You need to just highlight that, because when we get into the definitions, there's going to be some more information for that right there. All right, Article 15, merchants of both countries shall employ only such interpreters and such other persons to assist them in their business as they shall think proper. No commander of a vessel shall transport his cargo on board another vessel. He shall not be detained in port longer than he may think proper, and all persons employed in loading or unloading goods or in any other labor whatever shall be paid customary rate, and not more and not less. Article 16. In case of a war between the parties, the prisoners are not to be made slaves, but to be exchanged one for another, captain for captain, officer for officer, and one private man for another. And if there shall prove a deficiency on either side, it shall be made up by the payment of 100 Mexican dollars for each person waiting. Now, I just want to clarify, the Mexican dollars, that's a coin. It's not a piece of paper. is, and it is agreed that all prisoners shall be exchanged in 12 months from the time of their being taken, and that this exchange may be effected by a merchant or any other person authorized by either of the parties. Article 17. Merchants shall not be compelled to buy or sell any kind of goods, but such as they shall think proper, and may buy and sell all sorts of merchandise, but such as are prohibited to the other Christian nations. Article 18. All goods shall be weighed and examined before they are sent on board, and to avoid all detention of vessels, no examination shall afterwards be made unless it shall first be proved that contraband goods have been sent on board, in which case the persons who took the contraband goods on board shall be punished according to the usage and custom of the country, and no other person whatever shall be injured, nor shall the ship or cargo incur any penalty or damage whatever. Article 19. No vessel shall be detained in port on any pretense whatever, nor be obliged to take on board any articles without the consent of the commander, who shall be at full liberty to agree for the freight of any goods he takes on board. Article 20. If any of the citizens of the United States or any persons under their protection shall have any disputes with each other, the consul shall decide between the parties. And whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government to enforce his decision, it shall be immediately granted to him. Article 21. If a citizen of the United States shall be killed or wounded, if a citizen of the United States shall kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States, the law of the country shall take place, and equal justice shall be rendered, the consul assisting at the trial, and if any delinquent shall make his escape, the consul shall not be answerable for him in any manner whatever. 22. If an American citizen shall die in our country, and no will shall appear, the consul shall take possession of his effects. And if there shall be no consul, the effects shall be deposited in the hands of some person worthy of trust until the party shall appear who has a right to demand them. But if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption. And if a will shall appear, the property shall descend agreeable to that will as soon as the consul shall declare the validity thereof. Article 23. The consuls of the United States of America shall reside in any seaport of our dominions that they shall think proper, and they shall be respected and enjoy all the privileges which the consuls of any other nation enjoy. And if any of the citizens of the United States shall contract any debts or engagements, the consul shall not be in any manner accountable for them, unless he shall have given the promise in writing for the payment or fulfilling thereof, without which promise in writing no application to him for any redress shall be made. Article 24. If any differences shall arise by either party infringing on any of the articles of this treaty, peace and harmony shall remain notwithstanding in the fullest force until a friendly application shall be made for an arrangement, and until that application shall be rejected, no appeal shall be made to arms. And if a war shall break out between the parties, 9 months shall be granted to all the subjects of both parties to dispose of their effects and retire with their property. And it is further declared that whatever indulgences in trade or otherwise shall be granted to any of the Christian powers, The citizens of the United States shall be equally entitled to them. And last, Article 25. This treaty shall continue in full force with the help of God for 50 years. We have delivered this book into the hands of the before-mentioned Thomas Barclay on the first day of the blessed month of Ramadan in the year 1200. I certify that the annex is a true copy of the translation made by Isaac Cordova Nunez, interpreter at Morocco, of the treaty between the Emperor of Morocco and the United States of America. All righty, so that is that. What we're going to do now is just jump right into the definitions because I am so anxious to get to the question. The first definition is application. Application, a putting to, placing before, preferring a request or petition to or before a person. The act of making a request for something. A written request to have a certain quantity of land at or near a certain specified place. A petition. The use or disposition made of a thing. A bringing together in order to ascertain some relation or establish some connection as the application of a rule or principle to a case or fact. Under insurance, preliminary request, declaration, or statement made by a party applying for an insurance policy, such as one on his life or against fire. An application is no more than proposition to insurance company and must be accepted before there can be meeting of minds required to form binding contract. Under payment, appropriation of a payment to some particular debt or the determination to which of several demands a general payment made by a debtor to his creditors shall be applied. Mere uncommunicated intention or belief on part of debtor as to application of payment to creditor is not such an appropriation as constitutes application. Under purchased money, the disposition made of the funds received by a trustee on a sale of real estate held under the trust. All right, the next definition, it reads, let's see, oops, I lost my spot. The next definition, it says detrained. I think that was supposed to be detained. So we have the definition detain, and then we have detainer. So the first one is detain. To retain as the possession of personality, to arrest, to check, to delay, to hinder, to hold, or keep in custody, to retard, to restrict from proceeding, to stay, to stop. Detainer, the act or the judicial fact of withholding from a person lawfully entitled the possession of land or goods or the restraint of a man's personal liberty against his will, detention. The wrongful keeping of a person's goods is called an unlawful detainer, although the original taking may have been lawful, as if one distrains another's cattle, damage feasted, and before they are impounded, the tender sufficient amends. Now, though the original taking was lawful, the subsequent detention of them after tender of amends is not lawful, and the owner has an action of replevin to recover them, in which he will recover damages for the detention and not for the caption, because the original taking was lawful. I meant to give the definition of replevin, but of course that didn't happen. So you might want to look that up on your own, as like an after-class exercise.
You know what? A lot of people are doing a writ of replevin in order to regain their property, I think. I think that's what they're using it for, right? While an issue's going on, when they take your property?
Yeah, I just wanted, I wanted definition because, especially out of the Black's Law 4th edition, because those are case laws in there. And, you know, a lot of times when you read the definitions under the Black Law 4th edition, not only do you comprehend what they're trying to say, you get the case law to support what it is they're trying to say. So that, you know, that's why I wanted to get the definition, but I didn't have time. So that can be like something that everyone does after class. All right, so under detainer in practice, a writ or instrument issued or made by a competent officer authorizing the keeper of a prison to keep in his custody a person therein named. A detainer may be lodged against one within the walls of a prison on what account soever he is there. This writ, okay. Then we have detainment. This term is used in policies of marine insurance in the clause relating to, quote, arrest, restraints, and detainment. The two last words are construed as equivalent, each meaning the effect of superior force operating directly on the vessel. I thought that definition was interesting to include, because the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is all about commerce, and it's the commerce that the United States of America is looking to have with on this land, on American soil. So when you read this definition of detainment, and it lets you know that this is talking about a maritime issue as it relates to insurance. Well, we also need to know that maritime is talking about sea movement, which is absolutely appropriate, since the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is talking about the sea. It's not talking about the land, although they are implementing policies and procedures of the sea on the land, which is absolutely unconstitutional.
But you know what, to cover, as I can interject here, to cover that in the Constitution, Article 3, regarding judicial information, power, authority, etc., and process, it even covers that, just in case they tried to do that, which is what they're doing, as you said, applying the sea to the land. It says that in maritime, the original jurisdiction rests in the Supreme Court. So it covers that, because, you know, we have to realize that our ancestors already knew what the possibilities were in terms of what they could do for defeat or to try to undercut things. So it's already covered, and I say that because a lot of people, as you just said, they'll write up writs because they may have recognized that they're applying maritime to land. But really all they got to do is just stick right back with the Constitution on that, because it says that the original jurisdiction for that is in the Supreme Court along with everything else.
Right. Absolutely. This is why we have to study, so we can make those analyses, because without it, you know, we won't know. The next definition we have is relating to the word favored, because, you know, in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, it talks about, you know, the most favored nation. So I wanted to include that, and what we have is favor out of Black Law 4th edition dictionary. Favor as a verb, to regard with favor, to aid or to have the disposition to aid, to show partiality or unfair bias toward, synonymous with support. The word implies a mental attitude or intent. So clearly, when it's talking about the most favored nation, they're talking about some nation that they have a relationship with. The next definition is fugitive. I also included fugitivus, the Latin derivative, because I thought it was interesting to include. But under fugitive, it reads, one who flees, always used in law with the implication of a flight, evasion, or escape from some duty or penalty, or from the consequences of a misdeed. And then under fugitivus, in the civil law, a fugitive, a runaway slave. see the various definitions of this word but we don't have that. So, but I thought it was interesting that the word fugitivus is referring to a runaway slave. The Treaty of Peace and Friendship is talking about the slave. Right? So the last definition we have, and remember, I want to go back, and I'm so hoping I can find it. Remember, I think I told you to pay close attention to Article 14. This is in relation to Article 14, where it says, and their citizens shall be respected and esteemed and have full liberty to pass and repass our country and seaports whenever they please, without interruption. Full liberty to pass and repass. I had to once again give the definition of pass. We had it on last month's definition, but this month I wanted to include it so that we're clear. Now, the definition is permission to pass, a license to go or come, certificate emanating from authority, wherein it is declared that a designated person is permitted to go beyond certain boundaries which, without such authority, he could not lawfully pass. Also, a ticket issued by a railroad or other transportation company authorizing a designated person to travel free on its lines, complete between certain points, or for a limited time. Now, I want to correlate this. Article 14 says that you can pass and repass whenever you please without interruption. Now, looking at this definition, it's essentially saying you do not need permission to pass. You do not need a license to go or come. You do not need a certificate, and you do not need any permission emanating from any alleged authority wherever it is declared that a designated person is. You can go wherever you want to go without such authority, whereas they would, and there is nothing that can ever be construed to mean you do not have the lawful permission to pass, is what Article 14 is saying. So for all those people out there who try to go and get on a plane, this Article 13 is also for you, because we are supposed to have the inalienable right to come and go. And we can't be the Aboriginal indigenous people of this land, but we're allowing the slaves, the foreigners, to have a liberty that we can't have. All right? So Article 14 is basically saying, you, like as I've been saying all along, you do not need a passport to travel on your on the land of your ancestors. Islam. So I just had to put that in there. I just had to put it in there because when I read, you can pass and repass whenever you please without interruption, I just had to put that in there. We move into our question segment. And I trust that everyone had enough time to review the questions because they were, I just couldn't help it. I just couldn't help myself. I was going through the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and it was like these questions just kept popping out. And so what we're going to do is, this is how we're going to do this. We're going to read the question, and whoever would like to answer the question, you need to press 1 on your telephone. We will take the first caller that shows up in the queue. If they have the right answer, we're going to mute the caller, and we would ask everyone press 1 to come out of the queue. And we're going to read the next question. And just want to let it be clear, when we take the caller, you need to press 1 after you hear the prompting that says muted. All right? So everybody get their finger ready to press 1. The first question, what must a ship of war of either party do once they put into port? What must a ship of war of either party do once they put into port? All right. Caller 510334, you are live on the air. Do you have the answers to the question?
Peace, I do. This is Anthony Ali Shanko Bay from Northwestern Maxim. The answer is it must salute, and it shall be returned from the fort equal number of guns. Did I say that right?
Excellent. Yes, not with more or less. Excellent. Excellent. All right. So I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you, and once you get the muted, press 1 to come out of the queue.
Okay.
All right. Great. Our next question, who shall, and that really should be who shall the, it says H-E, but it should be the, who shall the commerce with the United States of America be on the same footing with? All right. Caller 267-521. Are you calling
Islam.
question? Islam.
Yes, I'm calling to answer the question. This is Teresa L. Northwestern Maxim. I got commerce with Spain. That's in Article 14 as well.
That's correct. And then there's more.
Oh, okay. Commerce with Spain, or as that with the most favored nations of the time being, and their citizens shall be respected and esteemed, and have full liberty to pass and repass our country and seaports. Whenever they...
All right, Islam. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to mute you, and after you're muted, press 1. All right. All right, question number 3, moving right along. What shall the citizens of the United States of America have full liberty to do? Oh, I already gave this away. What shall the citizens of the United States of America have full liberty to do? All right, caller 443-376. Peace and love. Are you answering the question?
Yes, peace and love. How are you? It's Hassan Ghazi Obey at Northwestern Maxim. The answer to the question is they should have full liberty to pass and repass country and seaports without any interruption.
That is absolutely correct. All righty.
Wow.
Thank you so much. Just press 1 after you're unmuted. All right. Question number 3. Does this indicate, this being number 3, the answer to number 3, does this indicate any other requirement in order to pass and repass, and is this full liberty applicable only to citizens of the United States of America? I already just answered that, but hey, we don't go with it. Islam? Wait a minute. Uh-oh.
That's question number 4, not 3.
Yeah, question number 4.
Yeah,
but it's 3, relating to question number 3, and I just saw somebody with their hand up. I thought I muted them. Okay, caller 443-376. Are you answering question 4?
Yes. I think it pertains to anyone that is here on our land.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
That is correct. All right. All right, press 1 to come out of the queue. Wonderful. All right, number 5. What shall not happen to any commander of a vessel in the port? What shall not happen to any commander of a vessel in the port? All righty, we got this looks like Sister Carol.
Greetings, family. Yes, it is. Greetings.
Islam.
Oh, I'm loving the question. I love the questions. I love the callers. I couldn't get in. I've been pushing one since the first question, but everyone, and I'm happy to hear from them. But the answer to number 5 is no. No commander of a vessel shall transport his cargo on board another vessel. He shall not be detained in the port no longer than he may think proper. Is that the answer to number 5?
That is correct. That is correct. All right. Thank you so much. All right, press 1 so you can come out of the queue. All right. Our next question. What are both parties not to make of the prisoners? Number 6. What are both parties not to make of the prisoners? All right, I'm going to assume that this caller 619-807. Are you answering the question number 6? Caller 619-807.
Yes, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Okay, morning. I'm Felicia, and I'm calling to answer number 6.
All right, and the answer is, what are both parties not to make of the prisoners?
The prisoners are not to be made slaves.
Islam, that's right. All right, thank you so much. I'm going to mute you, press 1 to come out of the queue. All righty. Question number 7. If there is a deficiency on either side, what shall it be made up of in terms of equal surrender of prisoners? Caller 267-521. Caller 267-521. Are you answering question number 7?
Yes, Islam.
All right.
Should for surrender, captain for captain, officer for officer. It's equal exchange.
If there is a deficiency on either side, what shall it be made up of?
Oh, I misunderstood the question, Islam.
Oh, that's all right. That's all right. Just continue listening because I'm going to take the next caller. Maybe they might have the answer. All right, peace and love. Just press 1 to come out of the queue. All righty. All righty. All right. Caller 513-981. You are live on the air. Are you answering question number 7?
Yes, I am.
All righty.
It should be by payment of 100 Mexican dollars for each person wanting.
That's right. All right. Is this Sister Jayana?
Yes, it is. I had to recall out because it was like you unmuted or something like that, and then every time I pressed 1, it didn't say like you're in the host queue, so I had to like call out again. I don't know.
Oh.
Maybe because everybody's doing their homework, it's very busy.
Yes, I know. I'm surprised. I was thinking that we didn't give people enough time, but everybody is on it. I'm so happy.
Wow.
All right, I'm going to mute you so we can go on to 8. All right, just press 1. Everyone, okay, can you just press 1 to come out of the queue? We have caller 619-807. You're still in the queue. Can you please press 1? Caller 267-521. You're also still in the queue. Can you please press 1? And number 8, who can make the exchange? This is in relation to question number 7. Who can make the exchange? Who can make the exchange? All right. Sister Carol, I think that is you.
Greetings
Carol?
again. Yes, it is. And I tell you, I was up early this morning doing these questions. But the exchange can be affected by, yes, the exchange could be affected by the merchant of any other or any other person authorized by either party.
That's right. All right. That's right. Thank you so much. All right. Now, the next question, number 9, is a bonus question. And it's a little bit of a challenge, but I don't think so. But what I would like first to do, okay, we got 2 people in the queue, caller 619-807. I need you to press 1. And we also have caller 267-521. I need you to press 1 so that you can come out of the queue. All right, and now I'm going to read question number 9, which is the bonus question, which I think I probably should have put it. See, it's number 9 is the bonus question because number 9 was supposed to be the last question, but then as I continued reading. So number 9, the bonus question, what can merchants not be compelled to do? What can merchants not be compelled to do? And, what can merchants not be compelled to do? What can merchants not be compelled to do? All right. We got caller 256-320. Are you answering the question?
Yes, I am. Hi, this is my Aunt Bay in Northwest of Maxim. How you guys doing?
Wonderful.
Okay, so I have merchants shall not be compelled to buy or sell any kind of goods but such as they shall think proper.
All right. That is absolutely correct. Oh, thank you so much for that. Oh, goodness. Can you just press 1 to come out of the queue? All righty.
So you know what that could mean too? You don't have to buy. You know how they say you gotta have this, you gotta have that. You don't have to do anything except for what you think is property purchase or not. And all.
That's right.
Right.
That's right. All right, we got a couple of people still in the queue. I need you to press 1. Caller 510-334 and caller 619-807. And caller 256-320 and caller 267-521. You're still in the queue. Please, can you press 1 so that you can come out of the queue? All right, the next question, number 10. What is the only reason for examination and possible detention? And what must happen first? And what are the consequences? Let's see. Did I write all of that? What is the only reason for examination and possible detention? What must happen first, and what are the consequences? I know that's kind of like a mouthful, but all right. Caller, Sister Carol, is that you?
Yes, it is. Greetings again, family. I'll tell you, I'm ready here. For that answer, I got first to be proved that contraband goods have been sent aboard, in which case the person who took the contraband goods on board shall be punished according to the usage and customs of the country, and no other person whatsoever shall be injured, nor shall the ship or cargo incur any penalty or damage whatever.
That's right.
Okay.
Yes. Yes. All righty. Thank you so much for that. All right, our next, and you can just press 1 to come out of the queue now. All right, our next question is number 11. It's a bit tricky. And it reads, number 11. Now, if number 10 was to apply to one's personal property, a car, for example, keeping in mind that this is the law of the land as well, is this being violated? All right, Sister Jayana.
Excuse me. Yes, it is being violated every single day. It's being violated every day.
And can you explain why it's being violated as it relates to the answer to 10?
Yes, I can. For instance, first they must prove that contraband goods have been sent on board. So, for instance, if it's your car and they pull you over and then they do a thing like, well, we need to search your car, but they haven't proved anything. They don't have any warrant or any proof that you have anything that you shouldn't have inside of your vehicle for them to search you in the first place. That's one of the ways. Right. And then when he said, if it was to find something, no other person but the person who brought it shall be injured, or shall the ship or cargo or shall receive penalty or damage whatsoever. So, say for instance, this is just an example. Say me and a friend is traveling, and we are pulled over, and my friend may have something on them that they're not supposed to, even though they haven't proved it. But anyway, say they did they haven't proved that they had something, but they did search them and find something. They would do something like try to make me get a penalty for basically having that person in the car with me, or they may try to tow the car, steal a car, or, etc.
That's right. Exactly. That was absolutely beautiful. Yes, yes. They're not determined. They are not first proving that something that there was some quote contraband. And also the other thing is that they're not punishing according to the usage and customs of Morocco, which is the country that is American soil, Morocco. And they're implicating all persons. They're stealing the car as well as any items found in the car, and that is absolutely in violation of the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. Islam, sister. Thank you for that one.
Thank you.
All right. All right. You can press 1 now. All right. Now we are at number 12, moving right along. Number 12, can any vessel be detained? Hold on. Is number 12. Can any vessel be detained, and is this being violated now in terms of cars? All right. All right. Let me see. Caller 267-521. Are you answering question 12?
Yes, I'm answering question 12.
All righty.
For the first part, I put no. No vessel can be detained. And for the second part, is this being violated now in the terms of cars? And I put yes. And because when we sign the application for a driver's license, we're given consent. And so, therefore, they're violating our rights. They make it into a privilege. And once they make it away at any point, and so then they'd be violating our rights. So I put yes.
Well, that is true. And that is true, but in this instance, in terms of can any vessel be detained, as it relates to the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, you're right. The answer is no. But in this Treaty of Peace and Friendship, it specifies that vessels shall not be detained on any pretense whatever.
Right. Yes, that was in Article 19.
Right. And then the question is this being violated now in terms of cars? And the answer is yes, because they're detaining on a fictitious pretense.
Correct.
Yes. All righty. Well, thank you so much for your answer. And if you can just press 1 to come out of the queue, and caller 510-334, if you can press 1 to come out of the queue as well. Now we're at question number 13. In Article 20, where it says, quote, if any of the citizens of the United States, end quote, who are they referring to, and what is the name of the nation? All right. All right, caller 443-376. Are you answering question number 13?
Yes, beloved, I am.
Right.
Where it says you said in quotes, the first part was citizens of the United States, and I'm saying that is us. Those, believe, if I'm saying this correct, the ancients returned as well. Like it's in the Constitution where it states the people of the United States. So that would be us.
Okay, but here's the thing. We're talking about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship.
Yes.
And the parties involved in the Treaty of Peace and Friendship is the United States of America and Morocco.
Okay.
So where it says if any of the citizens, keyword being citizens of the United States, of course they drop off of America, who are they referring to and what is the name of the nation?
Okay. I might be wrong, but I'm going to try it anyway. Okay, the citizens, which I just held on to, and you said of the United States, but they dropped off the America. That's what you just said, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Let's see. It seems to be speaking on those that we've allowed to be here that are not actually of here, that are not Moors or Moroccans.
That's correct, and they are referred to as.
And they're also referred to as foreigners. Can I say that generally?
Yeah, but we refer to them for the clarity as modern Europeans.
Yes, Islam.
And what is the name? And what is the name of the nation?
And what is the name of the nation of the modern European?
Yeah.
I'm going to say that the name of that nation would be. I feel a little stumped. Would it be actually? I want to say Albion, but I think that would be so wrong. I can yield the floor on that one.
There's no nation called Albion.
Absolutely. I can yield the floor on that one.
All righty. All right.
Thank
you so much. Press 1 to come out of the queue, and we're going to go with Sister Jayana. Sister Jayana. Islam. Are you there?
Islam, yeah, I was on mute. Sorry.
All right.
Yes,
all right.
I'm kind of stuck myself, but if I had to pick, I would say the name of the nation would be the United States of America.
That
or
is
the Union
correct.
States.
That is correct, because remember, I said it at the beginning, in 1777, the nation called the United States of America was formed for the modern Europeans, and Hillary Clinton in 2012 said in the Benjamin Franklin room of the White House that Morocco was the only nation to recognize them as a nation. Islam, yes, we got to be clear on that. And let me see, did I even ask this as a question? But thank you so much, sister, for that. And I'm going to unmute you right now. Just press 1 to come out of the queue. And I just wanted to make mention when the reason why 13 is very important to know. Before I even say that, let's go into 14, because 14 is rather interesting as well. And it reads in Article 20, where it says, quote, "And whenever the consul shall require any aid or assistance from our government," end quote. What government are they referring to? Where is it? And what is it called? That's a tricky one, but it's really not. If you study, and it's not. All right, so Jayana. All right, back at you.
All right, back at me. So I'm going to try this one. In Article 20, where it says, "And whenever the council shall require any aid of assistance from our government," what government are they referring to? And where it is, and what is it called? Okay, our government that they are referring to is the Moroccan government or the American government.
Morocco, Great Seal Government of Morocco.
Yes. And then where is it? It is in Morocco or in Northwest Mexico or in Northwest Africa or in Northwest America, whichever, it got many names.
But where is it? Where is it?
It's in the North American on the North American continent.
Well, that is correct, North American continent, or you could also say American soil.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, American soil. And then what is it called? Also, what is it called?
What is the government called?
No, it says what government are they referring to? Where is it, and what is it called? When you say where is it, the American soil, what is it called on the American soil?
Okay, I get it.
Yeah.
Okay, I get it. So where is it? It's on the American soil. What is it called? It's called Al Moroccan or America. Is that right?
Right. Yes. And it can also be called Northwest Amexem, Northwest Africa, for those people who don't know they on Africa, North America, Morocco, and the North Gate.
That's right.
Those are all the names that it is called. All right, sister, thank you so much for that one. I'm going to mute you now and just press 1 to come out of queue. And great. All right. Now, the reason why I wanted that to be absolutely clear is because many of us know people who are declaring to be, or they're going and signing up to be members of the United States of America, and they're melanated. People of Asiatic, Moorish descent, melanated complexion, you are not supposed to be applying to be members of the United States of America. That nation was not established for you. That is not your family. All right? That is why you can never be a member of the United States of America. It was established in 1777 for modern Europeans. We are of an ancient people that predate the establishing of the United States of America nation of family by centuries.
And can I add, while you're saying this, this is why it is important when you go to these places. I know there's a couple of absolutely a couple of temples that do that, talk about naturalizing you into the United States of America. That is a travesty, and it's also
absolute fraud. It's absolute fraud.
Travesty for them to even think that that's what ought to be done with Moors. Only proves they haven't studied jack, but you can say it is fraud. It is fraud. And they even say, but let me just say that they even say, according to the 13th Amendment, which they didn't even understand, the true one with the 20th sections, because in Article 12 of that, it says that you can't be citizens of the USA. So it is fraud, but it is also, you have to determine, the listeners have to determine whether they want to look at it as fraud. I mean, it is fraud, or do they want to see it as maybe they're intentionally doing this to keep you in slavery, as the prophet said, some of your own wearing turbans and fezzes. That would be a prime example of some of your own wearing turbans and fezzes will put you back into slavery, because you cannot be a citizen of the United States of America. So I would say that even if they're not aware that that's what they're doing, that only means they have not studied. So either way, it's a bad thing. It's fine.
You're right. And this is my position. It's absolute fraud, because these are people. And I'm not just focusing on the people in the temple, but
no.
This is just everybody. Everybody ought to know this. If you're reading the prophet's work, and I strongly suggest that you get your hands on all of the prophet's work. You go to RV Bay Publications and you purchase everything that the prophet wrote. He wrote in there that no one can change your lineal descent line except powers come from the great God Allah. Now, you got to know that Allah is your mother. But it's saying that your bloodline cannot be changed. And so when somebody says that they're naturalizing you from one family into a foreign family, another species, that is absolute fraud. It's not possible. It can't be done.
Right,
it cannot be done. Your lineal descent lineage cannot be changed. Nobody has powers greater than your mother. You came out of her
womb. Can I
womb.
add in that this is also why nobody nationalizes you? You just have to, as even the prophet said, if you do nothing else, declare it, because it can't be changed. No one can change your descent nature. It can't be changed no matter what you think or what someone has told you. It can't be changed, so just know it, be clear, which is declaring it, and then proclaiming it by, putting it in written form. That's why it's not a permission document or anything like that when you take and do your judicial notice and proclamation. It's a lawful notice notifying someone, notifying that and putting in publishing that you are who you are, you know who you are, et cetera, like that. It's not a permission thing, and this is why it's done like that.
That's right. And so, prophet said study, study, study. He said study, study, study for a reason. He pointed you in the direction of the American Constitution. He said enforce the Constitution. You can't enforce the Constitution if you don't know what it is, and you cannot know the Constitution without knowing the precursors of the Constitution, which is embodied in Article 6. And those precursors to the Constitution, which are equally enforced, is this Treaty of Peace and Friendship 1787, as well as the Articles of Confederation, as well as the Articles of Association. They all tie in. They give you the history. They give you the story. They give you how these foreigners came to this land. It gives you who is who and what is what. And it gives you everything you need to declare your nationality, which means be clear yourself. No one can give that to you, and no one can take it away, and no one can validate it. So stop going to foreigners, asking them to affirm or validate or acknowledge what you already are by birthright.
And that goes back to what I said earlier. Many people are more concerned about what they're doing because everything they're going to put before you is something to deter you from that. What they say is not the permission. It's not the authority. It's what you know and what you say and what you do. And I think that, people are more concerned about what they're doing instead of what is prescribed for them as a nation of people from your ancient ancestors who definitely looked after who preserve, what did it say, to preserve domestic security, to hold it. It's done already.
Absolutely. And just the last thing I want everybody to be clear on, because we got all of these, we got a few Moors who are always wallowing around in the policies and the procedures of the United States of America. The government of the Moors is Morocco. The government of the Moor, that's Great Seal Government of Morocco. That's your government, all right? And that government is based on the law. It's not based on statutes. It's not based on policies and procedures. And if you if you proclaimed your nationality as a Moor, then you ought to first have been declared exactly what that is. And having done those two things, in truth, you have, in fact, done those two things. You could never put forth a document alleging to use policies and procedures under the United States of America government and at the same time allege to be a Moor. That does not happen. That is absolute wrong jurisdiction, and these modern Europeans is not going to pull your coattail and tell you. They're just going to use you to generate revenue.
Yeah, exactly. And really, that's what's been going on. That is, when we do this study as we're doing, that is all that has been going on. And you know what? Let me just say this too while I have this opportunity real quick. We're talking about the treaty. You've heard people say, well, the treaty was over in 50 years. Well, if you can study, you know that, no, it's up for possible alterations every 50 years. So it's not suspended or any of that craziness. Now, here's the thing I wanted to say before we go on. Treaties are between nations. So what that, and it's international. If you have declared your nationality, then you're talking national and international law and intercourse, not statutes.
Right.
So
right.
The thing about this treaty, in case people are wondering, well, I don't know, they don't honor the treaty. No, they don't wish to honor the treaty, but you have to because it's a national, international document. And you said you were a national. And so what this means is that it will not apply to you in this fashion unless you first declare that you are a member of a nation and what that nation is. Then it applies. So you may have friends that are still calling themselves Negro, colored, black, and think there's a nation called that when it isn't. So to them, this treaty means jack because they haven't even gotten to the point where they can declare their nationality, let alone apply. The first definition was apply because that's what we're talking about, applying this information. So they can't apply it if they haven't even claimed that they are a member of a nation. So as you said, the United States of America is for these foreigners, these union states, right? Hillary Clinton, 2012. It was the most powerful thing she did, and then she went off the scene of it. She said first nation to recognize us, first nation to recognize us was Morocco, and then she qualified that. She said in 1787, which is when this document here was drafted. Everyone knows that Morocco, the kingdom, doesn't even have authority to do a treaty, and it wasn't existing then either. So that's the part of the study. She came and told all Moors, yes, I've been getting your judicial notice and proclamations as the Secretary of the Department of States that we would told people to send in to them to notify them that you're not dead, right? She basically answered you. But if you
exactly,
she answered and said, all right, I'm going to let you know, y'all first to recognize us. So I just want to say, it's for nationals. So you can't apply the treaty unless you identify the nation,
Islam. All right, question number 15, moving right along. In Article 21, this is an interesting question, where it says, quote, if a citizen of the United States shall kill or wound a Moor, now we in that question 15, we see that the qualifier of the United States is missing. It should be if the citizen of the United States of America should kill or wound a Moor, or on the contrary, if a Moor shall kill or wound a citizen of the United States of America, the law of the country shall take place, end quote. What country are they referring to, and what would the law what would be the law based on that country? It's a bit tricky. Let me read it again. What country are they referring to? And what would be the law based on that country? All right, we got caller 267-521. Islam, are you answering question number 15?
Yes, Islam.
All right.
I put the United States Republic, and the law would be common law or the law of the land, the Constitution.
Not at that time frame. It's a partial answer. It's partially correct. It is the American Constitution. However, you got to know where the American Constitution came from, and it's not the United States Republic, because the United States of America Republic is what was established later. This is this is talking about what. Yeah. All right. But thank you so much. You got for that answer. All right. Thank you so much. And if
this is kind of what you're getting ready to share right now is kind of something that maybe people haven't considered. So to think about.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. All right, Sister Carol.
Greetings.
Islam.
Islam, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you answering? Take stab at 15.
I'm going to attempt it because, like I said, the American Constitution wasn't really established, so I have to go with the Moroccan, Morocco. Was the law of the land at that time.
You're absolutely correct. That would be, it says, what country are they referring to? It is Morocco, but Morocco is also Northwest Africa, so it's Morocco / Africa. For those people who don't know, Morocco and Africa, is one, and this is Morocco, this is Africa as well. And then what would be the law based on that country? You're right that the American Constitution didn't even exist yet, and that was so key. You're right. But here's the thing. What is the American Constitution based off of that was in effect at that time in terms of the Aboriginal Indigenous people?
That would have been this treaty here. This treaty is 1786.
No. This is the treaty that's being written, but the law, because the law of the. Go ahead.
No, I'm taking it to a different place. The law it would have to be common law. Would have been the law of the land.
True that. It would be. It is common law, but what was identified?
Yeah, it is common law, but what was it called?
I'm going to get someone else a shot at that one. That one's got me. I only had part of it. Sorry.
All right. All right, just press 1 on your telephone. Okay, we got caller 510334. Do you have the answer to 15?
I want to try this one. This is Anthony Alashenko Bay, northwest of Mexico. What about the Articles of Confederation?
No. Now, look, we just identified that the country is Morocco / Africa. And it says that the law is the law of the country being Morocco. What is the law in place for Morocco in 1786?
So the treaty on the other side.
It's not a treaty. Okay, look, if they're saying the land, the law of the land. The land
shall apply.
What we're standing on right now, American soil, which is Morocco / Africa. What is the law? I know everybody's going to be like, oh, that's right when it comes out.
I want to say divine law then.
Well,
it is divine law, but what was it called?
There was. Let's give them a little assistance. There was a written document already. When it says the law of the land, it is common law. It is based in divine law. That is a fact. But there was actually a document that was out prior, because remember, this is the treaty being written, and it says what the law of the country shall apply, which is the whole land, all American soil, which is why if they want to, which is why if they say they want to not honor the Constitution, we say nope, they have to honor it. But there's other things that are already, because the Constitution wasn't written at this time. So what is the law of the country identified as?
I'm going to say I have no clue right now. It's probably looking me right in the face.
All right, well, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you and just press 1 to come out of the queue. And now we have Sister Jayana.
Okay, so I'm about to try to just, it may be too easy to be true, but I don't know. So this is what I'm thinking. Is it the great law of peace?
Yes.
And I was sitting there, and I didn't know the answer at first, but as you kept saying and saying, I'm looking like it has to be something so simple that's gonna go over our head. And I'm like, the law of peace, the great law of peace, like. And I just called it and said it.
That is it. Yes. All right. Thank you so much. Okay, just press 1 to come out of the queue. All right. Islam. That was a wonderful one. So now we know what the law was prior to the establishing of the American Constitution. And just keep in mind, everyone, that in 1786, the law, I call it the law of the Great Peace, or is the Great Law of the Peace.
Iroquois Confederation, Great Law of Peace.
Yeah, by Iroquois Confederation. Those are Moors. All right, Iroquois Confederation. Those are Moors. All right, this is American soil, Morocco. So those are Moors. All right, so just remember, keep in mind, from 1786 to 1791, the law of the Great Peace was the law of the country, and it was written down and then called the American Constitution.
Basically.
But that didn't happen until afterwards. So, and it didn't go into force until 1791, which I just want everybody to be clear. It's not different. It is the same law. It was just now called the Law of the Great Peace. And the American Constitution is the Law of the Great Peace. And there was additional verbiage in there to make sure that the posterity of the Aboriginal indigenous people are protected. All right?
Right. Right. Exactly. So the clarity here then would also be that specifically there was a certain. This is why the Constitution has Amendment 9 in it. It says, look, if it ain't written in here, you Union States citizens of the United States of America now, if it's not written here, you have no parity over it, you have no authority over it. It is reserved for the people, period, and or for the state, respectively. And that means respectively with the limitation that any Union state would have and or any person who is under a state, because the definition of state is a group of people occupying a fixed part of land. You know that already. It's already in our definitions that we've given. So we have to really hone in on this so that we can take our responsibility of enforcing this Constitution and our answers put together to preserve us, to preserve our liberties, is that clearly the Constitution was written for them, based on divine law and in the spirit of divine law coming off of the a great law of peace. But it's specifically written for them. And this is why, as Moors, as Bays, law enforcers, it is our obligation and duty to enforce it for the purpose of preserving our own posterity. We have to get that's what it's all about. That is what it's all, and they know that we don't know. And they're beginning to teach us in public schools and our children, right, before us, they don't teach that. Then they teach law. They don't teach that either. They don't even go off of the Constitution, which is what is supposed to be enforced as the law of this land for them. That's fine. All right. And lastly, I need to go through the Articles of Confederation that the brother mentioned. We keep getting confused. There's Articles of Confederation. One of them, if you look, those lasted for like 8 years. I don't have the dates on me right now, but it's on the Forgotten Scroll. Until the Constitution was prescribed. Yep. Then the Constitution went into effect.
Yep.
That's the study part.
Yes. All right. Now, we're going to get back to our questions. Question number 16 in Article 22, where it says, quote, if an American citizen shall die in our country, end quote, who are they referring to?
No, we had this discussion.
Who are they referring to? All right, caller 267-521. Do you have the question? The answer for 16? Caller 267-521.
Oh, I'm sorry. I come by mistake.
All righty. Just press 1 to come out the queue. All right. Sister Carol.
Yes, greetings.
16?
Yes. Yes, I believe that they're referring to the modern Europeans. as American citizens.
That is correct. That is correct.
And this is our country, Morocco.
And I got to say this now. I got to interject that this is the time. This is why Prophet Noble Drew Ali said there's the one supreme issue, and that is to enforce the Constitution for the United States of America so that you are not molested by who? By other citizens. Islam. And that's what's happening to us because we fail to enforce it.
That's right. All right, thank you, Sister Carol. Just press 1 to come out of the queue. All righty. And let's see. Great. Now our next question, number 17. Where shall the consuls of the United States of America reside? Where shall the consuls of the United States of America reside? All right. Sister Jayana, number 17. You're muted. You're muted.
Oh, sorry.
All right.
They shall reside in any seaport of our dominions that they shall think proper.
That's right. In any seaport. That's where their consul is supposed to be. They ain't there, though.
Can I add something?
Say that again?
Can I add something? I said, can I add something? While I'm sitting here and we going through this and we did it last month too. This is so beautiful, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. I just want to say, I don't know if you ever heard of when somebody say, I think the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, after doing the Constitution and now doing the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, it really put the icing on the cake. That's all I'm going to say.
Yes.
That's all I'm going to add. This is the
after I put these questions together and the definitions, I really started paying attention to this Treaty of Peace and Friendship. I was like, if this is put it down, they really was thinking of us. Thank you.
But again, it's for nationals. But again, it's for the most part, for the nationals to enforce. Absolutely.
And they cover every angle.
Yes.
So this is
our ancestors were eloquent in preserving our posterity. That's why the Constitution says, which all of these documents led up to the Constitution for the rules for these other citizens. And that's why it says, look, this is for our posterity, man. Like, come on. That means forevermore. That's why there's no limit on, no time frame generationally and on applying this. And it's why the prophet said, look, this is for the young and yet unborn. As soon as y'all get this, which really means mothers have to get it, let's face it, they have to, because they're the ones who bring birth and teach in the first school. That's why he said it, because the daggone thing was written for posterity. And check this out, is there's case law. The Constitution is a written document. Therefore, it cannot be altered. So, yes, Sister Jayana, our ancestors really were absolutely eloquent when they preserved the rights for their and liberties for their posterity. Absolutely. And for us to not honor and respect that, that's our problem. We do not honor our mothers and fathers by their deeds. We don't. And one last thing, Prophet Noble Drew Ali said that. He said, we put our trust in the deeds of our foremothers and fathers, which means you don't go make a trust necessarily. Your trust is put in the deeds of what your foreparents have done, because that shit is already written. So that's where the trust is. Yes, if we enforce it, we don't need none of it.
You're right. You're so right. And I just want to dovetail off of all of this and say, this is exactly why the prophet said, study, study, study. And when you study, as we have done with the American Constitution and this Treaty of Peace and Friendship, when you study just these two documents, because there's some more stuff we can study these two documents, they literally, for real, they identify who is who and what is what. And so when people make these elaborate statements about, the Constitution was suspended, they just demonstrated that they did not study the American Constitution, nor did they study the Treaty of Peace and Friendship. When they say, a statute can overrule, or the prophet used a Hertz statute to establish what is it? A religious corporation. You didn't read the Constitution and the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and it's an insult. I'm going to say that. It's an insult to say that the prophet, who's an absolutely brilliant divine being, I mean, he is the example for all of us to follow, was so stupid that he used a statute when there was the supreme law of the land in place all along. That's an insult.
That's nonsense.
Insult. That's grounds for back in the day. Wait a minute. That's grounds for back in the day, having your mouth washed out with soap. That was right there.
Because you're cursing your people, man, by saying that. That's a curse for real. It's a bad curse anyway.
And a lot of times they want to use the statutes and the codes because they're just plain lazy. They don't want to look up the Constitution. They think that, like you said, it's just an insult because they think that the statutes has more power over the Constitution and the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and it's just not accurate. It's not true at all.
But check that out. Check it out. They didn't study. They did not study because right in the Constitution, it actually tells you how something becomes law. And a statute is a proposal to law. If it's not gone through the processes that's right there, I believe in Article 1, of the Constitution, or 2, excuse me, it hasn't gone through that and been finally promulgated by the Secretary of Department of State, not the Secretary of Ohio or New Jersey or wherever you are or wherever you think you are, not that. But if it hasn't been promulgated, it is not law. It is not law.
That's right.
So they haven't studied to know that. It's law.
And the other thing that I want to make, the other comment that I want to make, and I hope I can remember the second point, but the first point that I want to make is, look, in Article 4, it says that the states will be a Republican form of government. They will be guaranteed a Republican form of government. Now, whenever they start talking about democracy, I know that they must be talking about something else. They could never be talking about government. They must be talking about business when they talk about democracy. But on this land, if you're talking about government, there can only be a Republican form of government. And if you do the research and etymology of the word republic, it will take you to a representative form of government, which means that they can't never be the government. But as
they
we
need to
said,
represent.
as the Treaty of Treaties and Friendship and the Constitution shows you, we brought them into our government. We gave them a seat in our government. So for all those Moors looking for our government, it's always been here. Article 1 tells you who can make the law. That would be the Moors. The Article 2 says who can execute the laws. That will be the President of the United States of America. So all these statutes, which are policies and procedures, is nothing more than saying this is how we're going to execute the law, but it is not the law. And you don't get that unless you study. You're never going to get that. You're never going to make that connection, and you're going to be running under wrong jurisdiction until you stop, study, and get it into your cranium, and don't think that watching DVD after DVD after DVD is going to do that unless you got that DVD playing all the time wherever you go, which means you got a DVD player on you at all times. That's not happening.
And
because even addition to looking at some of these DVDs, and I did it myself, they're going to be mentioning words. They're going to be mentioning certain treaties. They're going to be giving you certain dates. They're going to be giving you certain appellations of a group of people. You need to go to write those things down and go and research it. And that's how you're going to get stuff into your cranium. Islam?
Well, Islam, and it is an example right now while we're speaking. If there's someone on the line or someone who's going to, say, listen to this at some time later and listen to what we're saying, the truth of the matter is until they pick up that treaty and read it, even though this is a comprehensive study and questions, all the answers are in the treaty itself, they could be listening to this, but until they read it and put it into their own cranium it's not going to have the same meaning for them. It's just not.
That's right. That's right. That's right. So let's move on. We got 4 more questions, and I want to get this in quickly. Sister Jayana, just press 1 to come out of the queue. All right, wonderful. Number 18, in Article 22, where it says, quote, but if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption, end quote. In order for this to be followed, what must first be established and why? This should have been a discussion question, but hey, whatever. All right, we got a couple takers. Caller 510334. I think this is Brother Anthony Shankle. Is that you, Brother Anthony?
Yep, Anthony Shankle-Pay. Yeah.
All right, Brother Anthony Shankle-Pay. All right, you going to give a stab at the answer?
I'm going to attempt. It says a council must first be established. And
No. 18. But if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption. In order for this to be followed, what must first be established and why?
Uh-oh. And, uh-oh. You have to establish the heir.
Okay, but how are you going to do that? I'm going to read it again because, see, the key is in the wording, all right?
Okay.
But if the heir to the person deceased be present, the property shall be delivered to him without interruption.
So the property has to be established.
No. Now, this is talking about the transfer of property of a deceased person to the next in line. In order for it to be determined if you're next in line, what must first be determined?
Oh, you know what? I have it highlighted in my notes from when I read it. I said the heir must. The heir.
Yeah, but what about even if you're alleging to be the heir, in order for you to even claim to be an heir, what must first be established?
A trust?
A what?
Okay, I yield.
Said a trust.
All right. Thank you so much, Brother Anthony Shankle-Pay. Just press 1 to come out of the queue, and we're going to go to Sister Carol.
All right. Well, like you said, Sister Anna L, is that the heir. Well, if I'm saying I'm the heir, then obviously it's nationality in my bloodline.
Yes. Yes,
okay.
Your nationality must first be a matter of record in order for the inheritance to be passed on the lineal descent line. That's why I kept saying deceased and heir.
Oh, man.
Right? I'm just saying you can't. Oh no.
And the
heir
is what
you can't even talk about being a descendant or an heir until your nationality is first determined. Am I right or am I right?
That's correct, and that's what brought me to that answer, because as soon as it said heir, I said, well, if I'm the heir, then that means I have to have a nationality. I'm proving who I am, and I'm part of this land. So that's how I came up with the answer. You're right, the heir that was the word that brought me to that answer.
And check this out, and this is amazing, because this is why when your family members pass, they had you going through, what's that card called, probate and all this old bull crap? Yes, and they be making you do this and do that and taking finances and fees from your parents or family's stuff, because this is the importance of us being one nation and knowing we're family. This is the importance. But since we've taken on a European mindset, which oftentimes includes greed or whatever, instead of passing the inheritance down into the family, now you got to go through all of these hoops and changes and chains and hoops and what, pay fines and fees, and the first thing they do is make you become what? An executor. Before you can even talk about your parents' stuff, the first thing they do is make you become an administrative executor, so that now you're on their level. Now you got to go through all this stuff. But what did you just say? You just have to. So if you don't claim your nationality family, that's why you're going through this probate crapola, and they're reaping your inheritance.
That's absolutely correct, and that is what the definition of probate, it tells you. It's all in there. If you're going through probate, it means that whoever passed and whoever is alleging to be of the lineal descent line of that person, they did not declare their nationality, and so they are looked at as orphans. Court is the mother, and they are making decisions based on the missing heir, who is mother.
Right, inheritance. But see, that's another thing. When you get married, with the marriage license, it goes to the orphan department. Why? Because they know that if you already know that this is holy matrimony, which is the matriarch, right? There's no marriage and there's no license required. And they know you don't know that, they just captured you. And so, therefore, when you have your so-called divorce and or death, you got to go through their stuff. And in order to, finalize your so-called death or divorce, because they got you as an orphan. Because if you knew better,
they do.
You wouldn't be doing
it. And
it.
the reason, and see, the reason why they have you as an orphan is because a lot of people, they think, because I signed this marriage contract, but there's more to it. All right.
Yes.
Because when you sign that so-called marriage contract, which Dr. Ben Yosef Yachanan, he, I listened to him, and he said that his family doesn't acknowledge his marriages. Why? Because he didn't go to no county and get no permission from them. Isn't that crazy? There's no law, and he said this, there's no law, there's nothing in the Bible or outside of the Bible that says that you got to go and apply to get married. But in so doing, what a lot of people end up doing is they change the lineal descent line because they take on the father's name or the husband's name. And so you just change the lineal descent line. When the lineal descent is her, if anybody's supposed to be taking on, actually everybody's supposed to just keep their appellation as it is. You ain't supposed to be changing anything. But if you are going to change anything, it should be the son taking on the mother's lineal her appellation to continue her lineal descent line. Because here's the thing, since there's no babies coming out of the son's womb, there's no son, I'm not aware, except on the movie Twins, where a son had a child. So it is important to know what is the appellation of the line. See, what they got everybody doing is continuing a name when we should be continuing the bloodline.
And the inheritance, and because we gave that up, and you're right, that's all part of. And let me add this too. And for all of those who think that their respective church reverend, preacher, whatever, is performing a marriage in the house of God, whatever church he says is a house of God, do some study, because his clergy is supposed to be about all of God's work. He sits there on Sunday and tells you this is the house of God. But what he does is he goes out of his normal clergy and goes into what's called secular clergy, which means business. And he agrees to take the license instrument and turn it over to these modern European little corporations. He sells you out to that. That's what your preacher's doing. It's called coming out of regular clergy, going into secular clergy, which is business, and he makes that arrangement. Now, why does he do it? Usually because he has been told that he and his house of God doesn't have to pay taxes. But if he knew who he was, even though he didn't have to do that anyway. So it's interesting. It's interesting of what we don't know what's going on.
Absolutely. Sister Carol, thank you so much for that question. An answer. and just press 1 to come out of the queue. We got 3 more questions left. I'm hoping we can wrap it up maybe in 5 minutes, maybe not. Number 19, what must happen if any difference arise by either party? What must happen if any difference arise by either party? What must happen if any? All right, Sister Jayana.
Islam, peace and harmony shall remain, notwithstanding in the fullest force.
Oh, no. What must happen if any difference arise by either party?
Oh, am I on the wrong question?
19?
Yeah. If any difference shall arise by either party infringing on any of the articles. Oh, okay, I get it. Okay, I went to a different article.
Go ahead.
I don't know the answer. I'm saying I went to a different article. I'll let somebody else try.
Oh, all right. So we have caller 267-521. Are you answering question number 19?
Well, I actually had the same thing as Gianna had. So, we must be misunderstanding the question.
All right. Caller 443-376. Do you have the answer for question 19?
Yes, Islam is Brother Hassan Ghazi Obey. It seems to be saying that if there is a difference arising, that there should be, to the fullest force, it seems like a friendly application shall be made for an arrangement, and until that application shall be rejected, no appeal shall be made to arms?
That is correct.
Islam.
Absolutely. Wonderful. What article was that?
I'm sorry, I went out the host queue.
Are you there? What article was that?
I'm so sorry. Am I still here?
Yeah, you're here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Okay, Islam. That was Article 24, and it was the 1, 2, 3. Is after the third comma, after the fullest force?
All righty. Thank you so much for that, and thank you for the article. And just press 1 to come out of the queue. All right. The next question, number 20. What must happen if a war breaks out? What must happen if a war breaks out? All right. Caller 267-521. Are you answering number 20?
Yes.
All right.
I have right here. And if a war shall break out between the parties, 9 months shall be granted to all subjects of both parties to dispose of their effects and retire with their property.
That is correct. All right. Thank you so much for that. All right, just press 1 to come out of the queue. And the last question, we made it through. The last question, what grants to Christian powers are the citizens of the United States of America equally entitled to? What grant to Christian powers are the citizens of the United States of America equally granted to? All righty. No. Okay, wait a minute. This is somebody I don't think we've heard from this person. Caller 619-807. Are you answering number 21? Caller 619-807. Caller 619. All right, we just lost them. All righty. Caller 443-376. Are you answering number 21?
Yes, I am. Islam. Once again, it's Hassan Ghazi Obey.
All right.
I'm going to say whatever indulgences in trade or otherwise.
That is correct.
Islam.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Woo.
You're welcome.
All right. Islam, to everyone that participated, this was a fantastic class. I mean, everybody. You know what? I was afraid that we didn't give enough people time to study so they can get these answers. They absolutely proved us wrong.
They were waiting for it.
Absolutely proved us wrong. Everybody was on it. I'm so proud and thankful that everybody studied and made it happen.
You know what? I always say this. We thank you for your interest and activity. However, the universe thanks you more. The universe is more proud than we could ever be.
Yes. This was a fantastic class, and I don't know if it was. Like I said, I can't even say it enough. I was absolutely surprised that we made it through, but we did. We made it through, and we can actually end the class now. Well, actually, we can end it in a couple of minutes because it's going to be 3 o'clock. Because or we can take a couple of callers. But what I would really,
questions maybe if we have time, if someone does have questions.
We could, but I really would like to reserve next month to really, it's gonna take a couple minutes for all of this to soak in. And it's optional, or we can just use next month and bring up a different subject, and we can use this last hour to talk about what we just went over. What do you want to do?
Well, no, I think you're right. It is a lot to observe, and as I had said earlier, for those who are listening, they may not have in fact read the treaty or went through these questions. They're just tuning in or whatever like that. They need to truly read it. Now they have even a better concept of it. And then our next class would be even more powerful. And then as we get there, as this thing swells, and the waters of knowledge, because water represents knowledge, start filling up the walls, we're going to burst out with the new birth. And all of us are going to, it's like a consciousness and a waking up, and we're going to realize who really is the violators, and that we have been in a mental slavery, no diggity, no doubt, that has us thinking that these people are actually the government, which they are not. You've proven that. You go look up what they are. It clearly says that they are what? Corporations, right? Right?
Yep.
So check this out. That means, let me just do this. I'm doing this right now. Let me read this right now. That means that they are, as it says in stare decisis case laws. Now, let me just say what stare decisis case law means. That means that which has been stared at and decided after someone has made claim that their liberties and the law has been violated against them, the stare decisis or the case law simply goes in, reviews the law, which is the supreme law of the land, not statutes, and comes up with a case law that is supportive and affirms the truth and the fact. Okay, and this one, Penrose versus Doan, says administrators define government succinctly. Governments are corporations, in as much as every government is an artificial person, an abstraction, a creature of the mind only. A government can deal only with artificial persons. The imaginary, having no reality or substance, cannot create or attain parity with the real. Are you the real flesh and blood being? Because if you are, then they are corporations that have no parity with you. But because we don't know it, they have taken full advantage. He shall fool even the most elite. You know what?
Yes.
Go through, devouring whatever you can. That's lower self-activity. And lastly, I'd like to add, what is the Constitution? What is being looked at? What really is being looked at? Because some people try to disclaim res judicata. But the res, as you would in a fake trust that you might have, that you think is the trust. We already said we place our trust in the deeds of our forefathers, which is what we're reading to the treaty, the Constitution. All of these things are already written. They're already binding. That's why it says it's binding against the Constitution, which was written for them. So this is what we place our trust in. So res judicata in its definition means a matter that has already been adjudged, a thing that is judicially acted upon or decided, a thing or matter that's already settled by judgment, a phrase of the civil law constantly quoted in books. Rules that final judgment or decree on merits by court of competence jurisdiction is conclusive of rights of parties or their privy in all later suits on points and matters determined in former suit, meaning that it's already been decided. So any later suit tomorrow is against the law. That's what res judicata is. It's not against the statute and what they told you yesterday, because they are corporations and they are not the law.
Right.
So when it says merits by a court of competent jurisdiction, underline, are you in a court of competent jurisdiction? Because they are obligated to enforce it. No, you are not in a court of competent jurisdiction because, as was told before, ask them for the delegation of authority or don't ask them. They don't have it. Why don't they have it? Because they're not a court of competent jurisdiction, period. So what are they doing? They're the criminals violating you and your baby's rights. So you're out there, and liberty. So we're all out there talking about we want justice, we want peace. You know, they're violating my rights. Don't even know what your rights really are, and that they've already been preserved by your ancestors, your nation, who's approved these people to even occupy on your land. This is the concept and the fact that needs to be put into our heads so we can come out of the mental slavery that it is something else. And until that happens, none of this can be what? First definition, applied. It can't be applied unless you have the right concept of it. So I say that to say that the stare decisis, you don't need the case law to prove your position. It just affirms it and helps to substantiate it, because if it was never written, it doesn't change the facts. Where are the facts? Read the treaty. Read the Articles of Confederation. Read the Great Law of Peace. Read the Constitution, which was for these people that came upon your ancestral state. And then you will know that you're not going to go get no marriage license, because that was Reed C. and Bay. That was from the Union Society. That was for them, not you. I think these are the social engineering. Islam.
Yes, that is absolutely correct. So here's your assignment for next month. Study this some more and come up with some discussion points, because next month what we're going to do is we're going to talk about this, what we just learned, and tie it in conjunction with the American Constitution. We're going to have a discussion class where we are going to talk about the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, 1786, and the American Constitution. So with that, Roz, you want to cue up the music? What we going out with?
What are we going out with? You know, I wish we had, you know, remember we're talking about our mental state of mind, and we're talking about how we've been thinking like the colonists. I would like to play this time Brother Cujo's one, Thinking Like the Colonists. What's it entitled?
Is that Cujo's problem?
Huh?
Problem is Cujo, Sons of Allah, problem is?
Yes. Problem is
that's Sons of Allah,
we started thinking like the colonists until Noble Drew started dropping it. Is that under T, problem, or the T? I'm going to find it right now and put it on and end this call.
Look under Sons of Allah.
Is it
Cujo, problem is.
It's under K for Cujo?
No, it's under S for Sons of Allah.
Oh.
Sons
gotcha.
of Allah.
All right, hold on, everyone. In case you...
And make sure everyone check us out on Tuesday for Principles of Nationality in Action at 9:30 p.m. Peace and love to everyone, and Roz. Did you find it?
I got Sons of Allah intro, 4 Sons of Allah, 2 Sons of Allah, Pharaoh Sons of... Cujo problem. Yes, let's go with that. Islam, everyone.
All right, peace and love.
Peace and love.
King Boom.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it.
Dirty Moors still attempt to infiltrate the order. Active Moors are truth and take it to the corners. Across highways, past hedges and through borders. Move on dirty Moors like broken dam waters. Watch out for agents and provocateurs trying to get next to the heads with the doctor's cures. They never pay dues and don't pay dues. Contradicting with King Alfred to give blues like news. Noble Drew Ali died from Palemore blues. Prophet saved him his money before the floor fell through, and that's true. Even though I don't have proof, still memory tells me don't fall for spooks. Drop mental nukes, hanging from their own vine from the fig tree, looking up at them like Big B. No white flag or mercy for you fags. 5 point and pentagram is on our flag. Green, but not for cream. That dirty Moors took to throw off the balance of the Grand Treasury books. Getting offers like high school ballers. Those that infiltrate are not Moors but robbers. Robbing the people blind, deaf, dumb, and crippled. They can't tear this up, not one drop or trickle. No matter how hard they try to perpetrate the fraud, dirty Moors always fall on their sword.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it.
Me nah play with no so simmer and easy. From 19 how long, me see it's sleazy. So sick, it's measly and disgusting. Everyone stood there. The Moors did nothing when Drew was attacked. They took the covenant that they will protect him and have his back. Behind on dues by 4 months. Going to kangaroo courts to perform stunts. Temples versus temples. Lawsuits from inner fights. Not doing their job, 3,500 for birthright. Mufti Force left supposed to be in Gucci stores with God. Thank Allah for the Sufi Moors and Buddhist Nagas. Moorish Mike Renaissance, not rap sagas. Confusion clearer, empty battle scar wearer. Moorish nationality declarer. Straighten out the crooked ways, rap conduct squarer.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it. The problem is we started thinking like the colonists. We know what you are, baby. We started dropping it.
Let me strip them down, I'm the bone bearer. Negro, black, colored, minority, death repairer. Not the being, but the label attached. See me like Martin, going crazy, waving gas. Cause you call yourself black, that's a kick me sign on your life. Can't stab your enemy holding the blade of the knife. Numbskull MCs flow so dull that I'm pulling down Orishas like skull caps to torture the rapper, scissor sippers. Rapper, CD scratcher, insert ripper. Call me Jack and get slapped though. Admiral when I flow, major like macro. Don't spit on a cameraman like Pac will, but beat the case like Black Bill but no lawyer. Ask Jim Carrey, liars do nothing for you while they get rich and pour you. Make you follow magistrate orders that get the coke to snort from hood corners and block ghetto. All I see is rappers, dress codes, repetto, tight shirts, skinny jeans looking like heavy metal bands. I'm not babe but L like bread and hands. I grab mics, no sweat in hands. With birthright brands, I don't worry about getting scanned.
The problem is we started thinking like the colonists.